Have you ever wondered why audiobooks are so much more expensive than their physical counterparts? After all, they don't require printing, paper, or shipping at all. So why do they cost so much? Well, in this video, we're going to dive deep into the world of audiobooks and figure out why they're priced the way they are. We'll explore the many factors influencing the price of audiobooks, and we'll discover some surprising revelations. You don't want to miss this. Audiobooks have revolutionized how we consume books, making accessing our favorite titles from anywhere easier and more convenient. But if audiobooks don't require printing, production, and delivery in the same way that physical books do, why the price? Let's start with production. Unlike ebooks, which are essentially just digital versions of the printed book, audiobooks require a lot more production. Firstly, they need to be narrated, often by professional voice actors or even the authors themselves. I'm going to use the incredibly popular book The Da Vinci Code here as an example. To transform this roughly 600-page book into an audiobook, the first thing required is a narrator. The price of hiring a professional voice actor can range significantly depending on their experience and the length of the book. The typical range can be anywhere from $200 to $1,500 per hour. A 600-page book like The Da Vinci Code could roughly translate into about 18 hours of finished audio. This could mean anywhere from $3,600 to $27,000 just for the narration. These narrators don't come cheap, and the longer the book, the more time it takes to record the audio, and therefore the more expensive it gets. Audiobooks also require audio engineering and sound editing, which again adds to the cost. The audio needs to be cleaned up and mistakes or weird noises need to be removed. Audio engineers typically charge around $75 to $100 per hour, and it's estimated that for every hour of finished audio, it can take up to 3 hours of editing. So for our 18-hour audiobook, that's an additional $4,050 to $5,400 in editing costs. Then there are costs related to quality control and proofing. Proofers listen to the finished audiobook along with the text version to catch any discrepancies and highlight them so that they can go back to the drawing board. This can cost anywhere between $25 to $50 per hour, and for the Da Vinci Code, that could add up to another $450 to $900. Depending on the book, there may be additional costs for music or sound effects. These elements can really make a book pop, especially for genres like fantasy, sci-fi, or even horror or thrillers. The costs here vary from a few hundred to a few $1,000s. Adding up all these costs, it's easy to see why the production of an audiobook can be quite expensive. And we haven't even talked about the costs relating to distribution, marketing, and royalty fees paid to the author and the publisher. Typically, the price of an audiobook will vary depending on some of these factors, but mostly on the book's length. If a book is longer, the cost will be higher. So those of us who like to listen to the entire Wheel of Time series, we best be prepared to pay for it. So when you buy an audiobook, you're not just buying the story, but also the talent and effort of a whole team of professionals who work to bring the book to life in a new format. But that's just one part of the puzzle. Once the audiobook has been created, next comes distribution. Just like with ebooks, audiobooks require platforms to distribute the audiobooks. Platforms like Audible, Google Play Books, or Apple Books. These platforms take a percentage of the sales as their commission. For instance, Audible, which is an Amazon company, usually takes around 40% of the sales revenue if you work with them and Apple exclusively. However, the actual commission Audible takes is higher when you dig into the details. And honestly, the reason for this is confusing and weirdly secretive. This figure is manipulated by Audible and results in a much lower payout for authors and narrators. Effectively, Audible really takes about 60 to 75% of the sales revenue. If you want to distribute anywhere else, you only get 25%. If you use one of their producers, you pay your producer a one-time fee, so you get all of the royalties. But if you'd rather compensate your producer through the royalties rather than pay them outright, the amount you get reduces again. Then there are a few other teeny tiny matters that are kind of pissing a lot of authors off. One of these is Audible's Returns and Exchanges program, which is also known as the Great Listen Guarantee. This policy allows subscribers to return or exchange any audiobook they've purchased in the last 365 days. regardless of whether they've listened to it or not. The problem arises when a person buys an audiobook and then way down the line decides to return it. The royalties from that sale then gets deducted from the author's account, a lot of the time without them even knowing. And a lot of authors rely on all of these royalty payments as part of their income. Then there's the fact that some authors and publishers argue that Audible and its parent company Amazon effectively have a monopoly on the audiobook market, which gives them significant power to dictate pricing and royalty terms. This lack of competition in the marketplace can contribute to higher prices for customers and less favorable terms for creators. But it's not all bad news. There are ways to make your audiobook experience more affordable and better for authors too. For example, libraries offer audiobooks through apps like Libby, allowing you to borrow audiobooks for free just like you would a physical book. I'm going to create a whole video on Amazon alternatives for physical books, ebooks, and audiobooks very soon, so stay tuned for that. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Audiobooks, while seemingly pricey on the surface, do come with a whole load of extra costs. Costs that make them a different kind of experience than just reading a physical book alone. But when audiobook distribution companies take such a large cut for only hosting the books, this whole system doesn't seem entirely fair to me. But you tell me, what do you think about the pricing of audiobooks? Do you think they're fair, or would you rather stick to physical and ebooks instead? And if you like this video and want another like it, check out the video on screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.